everyone, welcome to Squirrel Brain Stories. Just a little reminder right here at the beginning, we're going to be talking about heavy topics. Please make sure to take care of yourself, reach out to a friend if this triggers something in you. Make sure you drink your water, take your meds, and just maybe if you're not in a good place, today is not the day for this, come back to us later.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Squirrel Brain Stories. I'm Angela, and I'm here with my co-host, Adria. And I'm here also with Nico. He is a survivor from the same cult that I grew up in. So we grew up together. And in the background is my husband, Buck, doing the video and audio. So yeah, if you guys haven't checked us out yet, feel free to go back to the beginning of the episode so you can get the whole full story, because as the episodes go on, we kind of dive deeper and get more details, and kind of the exposure starts, to come to light of how deep this criminal enterprise actually ran. And Nico has been very brave and courageous for coming on here and telling his story. And that was not an easy thing to do, Nico. And I want to tell you how much I adore your strength and your commitment, and, wanting to help other victims too. And just the strength that you can muster after everything that you've gone through, It's amazing, an amazing journey.
I often have a hard time when people compliment me.
Yep.
And I think it just stems back to everything that we've been through. But because, I don't look at this as brave, or I don't know. I'm just doing it because maybe it's selfish for me, but I just need to get it off my chest at this point. And, if telling my story can inspire someone else to tell theirs,
Yeah.
I'll consider that a good day,
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like I'm just saying what happened, and there's not much bravery in that. But again, I guess there is, because
the extent of abuse that you went through, being abused by at least 15 men, teaching yourself, your own schoolwork from the age 8 or 10 years old, like, just the amount of trauma that we all carry. It's not easy to have come as far. If you look at us compared to some of the other survivors that we know from the same cult, there are others that haven't had quite the same kind of journey and have overcome a lot of the connected trauma to the cult that we all grew up in. Some of them, the traumatic experience was too overwhelming. We just had one of our survivors, our childhood survivors, that passed away just not too long ago, that had a tremendous amount of struggle, with mental issues and traumas that they weren't able to, overcome, or had been struggling with, that just had too much of a hold of their life. And, I can see how that could easily happen. You kind of have two roads you can go down when you're recovering from trauma and abuse. You can take the positive road, knowing, you see a light at the end of the tunnel, and you can do this, and you can overcome, you can make a better life, you can pull yourself out of this rut, and then there's the others that kind of go into a downward spiral and go hide under a rock, hide from the world, internalize everything, don't ask for help, or don't seek any kind of counseling, or, and then I think there's a lot of depression and a lot of mental illness that will set in if you let yourself go down that path. So I think
Yeah.
it's, as I said early on in the beginning, I see everything that I went through as me being a rough diamond. Everything that I had to go through was the chipping away and the chiseling and the polishing and the sandblasting and the whatever, all of the different steps until you finally expose that beautiful spirit that is inside that can help and encourage, strengthen others, be there for others, people in general, treat others as you wish to be treated. I mean, you know, I think
Yeah.
that's, I don't know. So sorry, that was a little rant.
No, that I mean, that's all true. I mean, yeah, that's part of the reason I think that we're going to be successful is because we we can be so open now,
Yeah.
and and um and I really appreciate the opportunity too to like bounce things off of you and
Yeah.
you know talk about stuff because I think it's easier in this setting um to remember and to talk about things when somebody that understands.
Yeah. What you went through, because they were actually there with you too,
Yeah, yeah.
experiencing the same things. I mean, in your case, it was definitely worse than my experience. I mean, by 100-fold. Um, I don't know how you were able to handle all of that, honestly.
Well, I was a kid, and kids are notoriously or what is the word?
Resilient.
Resilient. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm thankful actually for that, because I was in some ways kind of oblivious, maybe to I don't know. That's weird to think about because I mean I knew what was going on and I knew that it wasn't normal, but I don't know. Sometimes it wasn't as big of a deal to me because it was just that's what was there. That's what I had to work with, I guess.
Yeah. Adapt and survive.
Yeah, yeah. Um, but you know, going to um what we kind of touched on earlier. I don't know, when it comes to really finally breaking away from everything and the end. Um,
Breaking the chains and the
right?
dominion.
Yeah, and just finally becoming free of it, at
Yeah.
least in the physical sense.
Well, I think
I
it's
don't know
more
because
like in the spiritual because, all of those things, the psychological and the mental stuff that we went through and all the conditioning, it's more than a physical. It's something that was really dug deep into our soul and just tried to destroy every ounce of us that existed. It was beyond the
Mhm.
physical.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. And I understand that you, Adria, have some questions
Yes.
specifically about that. So like I'll let you get to them, but I don't know that sometimes I think that I'm still caught up in it,
And I
because
think that's
it's
fair. I think to your point, getting out of there physically is the first step, of course, but it's as an outsider, you guys aren't done on your journey. Does that make sense? You're not
Oh yeah.
done on your healing journey yet, and you guys have come so fucking far, but I don't think anybody would expect you to be fully healed and done with the process and completely emotionally, mentally, spiritually separated and moved on from all the things that happened.
Yeah.
I don't think that's an expectation at all.
I mean, I honestly don't think that we could truly be free from the grip it had on our lives because we were there like 2 decades. I mean, it was a long time that we were both involved in this lifestyle, not by our own will, but when something has been part of your life that long, it's, you can break free from a lot of the graphs, but there's still some that's always going to hang over you because, you have all of the feelings that are still attached with the experiences that you haven't fully recovered, or maybe things that you witness happening to other victims that still kind of have a hold of your heart. And, you know,
Well, and it's more than that too. It's everything that you were fed while you were there shaped the decisions that you made when you got out. It shaped you into you.
mhm,
And it's impossible to separate who you are now from what you went through and those
yeah,
experiences because you're not you without them.
yeah,
You're,
exactly.
for better or worse, you're just not.
Mhm. And we're pretty normal. I remember being told one time when I was telling someone about my story, and they're like, "Why are you normal?" And I'm like, "Well, how am I supposed to be? I mean, I think I'm normal.
yeah.
I'm pretty normal
I don't know,
for
you
the
eat
most
better.
part. I eat butter." That was just when I. Okay, I'll just shut up. Buck knows my. I have a butter allowance.
Oh man, with the butter? Okay, because I
I
thought
mean,
I was the only one.
no, there's really good butter out there. Oh,
Are you
I
allergic to
know.
Kerrygold?
Kerrygold is
I
good. I
Kerrygold is
really
good
Kerrygold
too.
like
is good.
I really like the Lutheran whipped butter from Safeway.
Is that actual butter or is that
Nope.
margarine?
If you buy the
No,
one
it's
that says
whipped
butter,
butter.
yeah, it has to say
Yeah,
whipped butter, not the it
yeah.
says
Not that
on there.
country crock shit?
Oh no, 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 no. I will not buy that stuff. No.
I don't do
But
margarine.
no, I can't do margarine after the cold. The cold ruined me on margarine, on concha bread, almost on Nissin top ramen, cup of noodles. Those are the three main things. White cheap sheet cakes, shit cakes. I can't eat shit cakes.
Yeah, you don't like a store-bought cake.
Nope, no. It's because that's what we had all the time. Like I barely have eggs because we had so much eggs all the time. Remember, Nico? We'd always, I mean, especially on the weekends, we would have so many damn eggs.
Do
I
you remember
despise eggs.
And
fasting?
then you grew up and got chickens.
Well, we have only two left.
Oh
Oh
no.
One
no.
got murdered. A husky got into the kennel, the chicken coop,
Oh,
and dragged it out
Oh
and
no.
murdered it in front of the neighbor. Yeah, the neighbor
Oh
was pretty upset because she
no.
witnessed it. And then they stopped laying eggs for like 2 weeks because they were so
Because they were
traumatized.
terrified.
Yeah, but they started laying eggs again. Yeah.
Well, if you want
I
a rooster, I have a rooster.
I'm not. I don't want to eat a rooster. You
Oh,
think I want a rooster?
I don't know. I mean, you could have a couple chickies.
Girl, I don't have a backyard. My backyard is a pool. My front yard is the only usable acreage in this area that has grass. So the front yard's the only place the chickens can be. I
Look,
can't really have
rooster
a
is
zoo out there.
self-sufficient. The rooster is self-sufficient. He comes and goes as he pleases. He eats bugs out
He's
of
a
dirt.
wild.
I think he belonged to somebody at some point, but now our
Oh
yard
my god.
belongs to him. I named
Oh
him
my
George.
gosh.
He's very
Is he
annoying.
is he nice? Does he try to attack anyone?
No, he just crows all fucking day. All day.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
All
day?
motherfucking day. All day.
And
He's
Okay,
why
no,
annoying.
I definitely don't want him.
Take
Mm-mm.
George.
there are so many wild chickens, and every
Really?
morning you hear those fucking roosters.
And I really
Wow.
thought
Every
roosters were
morning.
only loud at like dawn. No,
5
no.
a.m.
It's
No,
it's 5
it's
a.m.
whenever.
It's 9 a.m. It's 10 a.m. It's 5 p.m. It's
Uh,
not really after like dark, dark. So after like 7 o'clock, we're good. But
oh,
before
good.
then, it's just kind of roulette.
Yeah.
Whenever.
He'll kick up when
Yeah.
he feels like kicking up.
Oh my gosh. Damn,
Super
George.
obnoxious.
George.
Yeah.
Crazy. Crazy. Okay, so what do you have another a question?
Oh, Nico, I am dying to know, what was it like the last couple of days you were there? Did it feel like there was like a storm kind of brewing, like there was a change that was going to be coming soon, or did it just you leaving for the last time kind of came out of nowhere? What was that buildup like?
Well, I mean, it got really quiet. Everybody got really quiet, and they kind of withdrew. Um, there was a meeting where, uh, Memo basically admitted everything to everyone, but then did his whole, but I've repented and God has worked in my heart speech. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and, for a minute, I think everybody thought that they were just gonna like maybe continue business as usual. And they made this plan, where um, he wasn't going to be in charge anymore, and they would kind of lead by counsel, as it were. And yeah, this is before Memo went to prison. And
But right
actually,
after he got arrested, right?
nope, this would have happened before he was arrested, because w- it's all very it's all weird, and honestly my memory is not 100% on it, because it was crazy times, and I had moved out and went to live with a coworker. She had like a little studio in the back of her house that she rented to me. um but I was still keeping contact with the kids, and trying to like navigate that, because I mean, his kids were older now, and
Yeah.
they were starting to do their own thing and go out into the world. Like the oldest one had a girlfriend, and
Wow.
so
So growing
you
up.
know, yeah, still growing up. And then I was in contact with the other kids too, and trying, to encourage. So when it happened, it was, I don't know. I mean, it's, it's there, but it's not. it's just a lot of things happened all at once. Because they started doing the whole, take a step back, and we don't want to ruin his life. And I was like, no, fuck that. He
Yeah.
ruined our lives,
Yeah.
and he's been dishonest this entire time. He needs to go on television, he needs to go on the radio and admit what he's done, and apologize. And it would never happen, and he needs to give people their money back.
And that he did it in God's name.
Right. And it was unfathomable. Unfathomable. That is a word, right?
And and there's another part of it too. Um, when he was arrested in Hawaii, he was arrested in 2008, and he was coming back from a trip. I believe that he was staking out another escape, just like he did from Oregon to Hawaii. He was doing from Hawaii to Washington, because before he was arrested, he was able to buy an almost $1 million house in Washington. This was before he was arrested. He bought this $1 million home in Washington. So I think he was trying to flee and hide again, and hope that what happened in Oregon would happen again in Hawaii if he were all of a sudden not in Hawaii anymore.
I mean, I wouldn't put it past him to do something like that. Yeah, I mean, his wife and kids, moved there after all that, and they sold the house in Hawaii. So, um, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't put it past him to try and do something like that, but I don't think that the police at that point were playing any games.
No, I don't think that, but the house thing happened a few months before he was arrested. So I think he was trying to plan it before things got too involved with the police. But what else was, I have a question. With kind of with where Adria is with when you finally were out of the cult, and my question is, was there a moment that you were like, it was funny, like a breath of fresh air, and you were like, I finally, like a aha, I'm free from Memo kind of moment, where it finally just dawned on you one day that you were no longer in his grip?
I mean, I, for me, I think it was when my parents and everybody decided to move out. I was like,
Okay.
okay, we're getting somewhere, They scattered to the wind. My parents went and rented a house in Kailua.
Okay.
And other people did their own thing. I don't know. Everybody kind of, like I said, they scattered to the
Dispersed.
wind.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to me, that was like, okay, we're getting somewhere, like, and this is happening.
Yeah.
Because I didn't
Okay.
think I'd ever see that, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean,
know.
just the way that people had dedicated their lives to it, I kind of expected it to just continue.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's, kind of how it happened in Portland, because the sex abuse was discovered in Portland, and he was called out, and there was a big meeting, and that's kind of when the Portland part started breaking apart and people going their way or making their own church. Um, yeah. Another question. When you finally got out of the cult and like started on with your, trying to figure out life and who you are and what was the most difficult thing for you to learn to do after you got out?
Hmm. Well, I think I had to learn that normal people communicate with each other by talking.
Yes.
Um, I I just for so long had been silent um most of the time. Um, and honestly, I don't know, like I've always been a very quiet speaker, like a very
Yeah.
soft voice. Um, and I've been accused of using that to my advantage. Like I do it as a control tactic because I want people to focus on me. Um, and you know, I was, by the way, my own family member who accused me of that, but I was just like, well, no, I mean, I was always told to be quiet and to keep my mouth shut. I would, what is that? The kids are supposed to be seen
Seen
and
and
not
not
heard.
Not
heard.
her. Mhm.
Yeah. Um, and any time that I tried to voice my opinion for any reason, I was shot down. So moving out into the real world and just, I mean, gosh, just even having a job, people expect you to talk to them and to communicate. And that was a huge thing for me because not only do I have like these mental illnesses and autism that already makes it hard to talk to people, but I'm dealing with all this like inner struggle. Well, I guess
Mhm.
that's the same thing, but of feeling wrong about, you know, having an opinion or feeling contrary. Like I wouldn't be able to tell someone no. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I
And
know.
that's gotten me into some sticky situations.
Yeah.
Uh, that I didn't necessarily want to be in because I didn't know how
To say no.
to be like, I don't want to do this. You know what I mean? Um,
Yeah, no, I totally know because I did the same. I was never a no person, but as I'm kind of going down this path, I'm learning to stand up for myself and be like, no, fuck off, like I'm not doing that. I've kind of gotten to my bullshit limit, like there's can only be so
yeah.
much bullshit in your life and I'm like, no. Um, so yeah, that's definitely a thing. I think for me, one of the hardest things has been after coming out of the whole, I mean, there's a multitude, learning how to manage money, pay bills. I'm not very good at it still. Um, but learning how to be the parent of the house instead of,
Mm,
just letting it reside on the man because because he's the head of the household. So there's
mhm.
been a lot of that. I'm still working on that. Buck still brings stuff to my attention. He's like, you need to set guidelines. You need to give him a time for it, because my son, he's a boy and he's like, boys need to know, like, okay, you be home at 6 o'clock. don't just, be like, okay, come back when you're ready. He's like, there needs to be a routine structure. So Buck's really helped because Buck, he's a very good parent. He has 5 kids too. So a lot of his life has been to parenting. So he can kind of catch my flaws, and he's like, babe, you really need to make a decision here. You can't just be like, I don't know. What do you want to do? Um, so
Yeah,
that
yeah,
there's, but one of
right.
the main things that I've noticed I've had problems with is letting others help,
Mm, hmm.
because it feels so selfish. No one ever helped us. No one laid a damn finger on for us at all. Like, no one ever did anything for us, not at all. Um, and so coming out into the world, and there's like all the stuff you have to learn how to do and know how to do, and you can't do it all by yourself. So you kind of you have to let people help you, and learning to accept it is kind of crazy. Like, you wouldn't think it's really as hard as it actually is.
Well, it's
Yeah,
because your trust in people has been shaken. Well, not even that, you never got to build trust in other people, right?
Yeah, that
Because you
that
couldn't
that's
depend
the
on anybody.
yeah, that's definitely the the aspect of it too. Is it's a lot about the trust too.
hmm,
Because after being through all of that, it's hard to trust people. I mean,
Especially when the people that were supposed to protect you abandoned and abused you.
yeah, yeah, I agree.
yeah,
It's crazy.
um,
No.
yeah. I find myself still struggling with that, and just funny little ways too. Like if I'm washing the dishes, my mother will be like, "Oh, well, let me help you," and I'm like, "No."
Yeah,
Like, what do
I
you think?
know.
I'm incompetent? I can do this.
Yeah,
I've
right.
got
Like,
this.
yeah, I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Leave me alone.
Yeah.
Stop looking over my shoulder. You're making me nervous.
Right? Oh my gosh. Let's see here. Do you have any other questions, Adria?
Oh,
I'm sure
um,
you do.
yes.
Okay.
What was your first coping mechanism when you got out, Nico? Because as I can only imagine that as you physically removed yourself after probably just a few days, it kind of sank in that now you're completely alone. You've lost the connection with this, for better or for worse, extended family that you've had for years that have been shaping and guiding you and your entire life trajectory. And now you're just you. And kind of, how did you sit with that at first?
Um, I I don't think I allowed myself to. I did a lot of drinking, and I experimented a lot with drugs. Uh, Anything that could disconnect me from everything. Because yeah, I mean, gosh, I wanted to be so far removed from it. I didn't want to feel. And
Yeah.
that's kind of all I had left was to feel, you know what I mean? And to come to terms with everything. And I couldn't handle it. I I know that, my coping mechanisms weren't healthy, but I don't think I would have survived otherwise.
Yeah.
Um, because it was just too heavy, you
Well, and you
know.
probably didn't have the resources either. Like, who do you go? How do you find someone? Like, I want
I
to
Yeah.
really
know.
didn't.
I want to know.
Yeah. I mean, I had some people that, were encouraging me to, you know, seek justice. Um,
Yeah.
the the business couple that we had talked about previously in the Portland area, um, they encouraged me to, and I tried, um,
Yeah.
but I wasn't in a place, and honestly, like I, I don't know, every time I'm a person that like trauma dumps, I guess, without realizing that I'm doing it, and that was another thing about getting out into the real world, where I'd be having a conversation with someone and I just let loose with some random shit that happened to me, as a kid in the cult that I grew up in. And people are sitting
Yeah.
there with like their mouths hanging open, like, what the fuck did you just say?
Oh my
And I'm like,
gosh.
what's wrong? And they're like, Nico, that really happened to you? And I'm like, oh yeah. No emotion because
It
it
felt
is
normal.
what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like
It just
that's just
happened. It was part of
right.
life.
And then people say, oh, well, you should write a book or something.
Yeah.
I don't think I
Well, the podcast is a start to that. Maybe one day it can, become a book, or hey, maybe we'll get a movie, a documentary.
oh
Oh
Never
man.
know.
geez.
The sky's the limit. If there's a will, there's a way.
Oh man.
Um,
Well, yeah. So yeah, a lot of alcohol abuse. And I don't know, I didn't get too crazy with the drugs. I smoked a lot of weed. Uh,
better than the harder stuff,
yeah, I figured,
probably.
it's a plant, um, and God created plants, so it can't be that bad.
Well,
Um, I
there's
mean,
a lot.
everything in moderation, I guess, and it's one of those things that, you know, for a long time, I had to stop everything, and just like completely, well, when I went to rehab, um, I had to just let everything go and be like, okay, I'm not in a place where I can handle these things responsibly. So the best thing is to just give them up completely and
Wow.
and be clear-minded,
Yeah.
and that gave me an opportunity, I think, to even really come to terms with like everything that I had been through.
The extent, right? Like,
Yeah, I mean, let me tell you, I think everybody, at least once in their lives, should go through rehab. Um, because it's such a healing experience. It let me talk about things that I normally would not talk about, even to like my own husband,
give you a safe place.
Um,
It's a
yeah,
different type of community. It is
Wow.
very much built on no matter how bad you think it was, you're not alone. And we're
yeah,
talking about it openly and freely, and we're not judging you. We're going, yeah, I see your battle scars and I'm going to raise you these. Like,
yeah,
you know,
yeah. It
I want
was,
to go. Sounds fun.
I mean, even just going to meetings, I mean, I did it, I was pretty invested for a long
That's
time.
good.
I recently, in the past couple of years, started smoking weed again, but
Eh,
that's more like
it's for
a
your mental health, okay? Come on.
unwinding, yeah, unwinding, yeah.
You deserve it,
And
okay? Take a load off.
I think so. Yeah. But no, really, that to me, I would say maybe that's when I finally was like, okay, I I feel like I'm so far removed from this now that I can think about it objectively. As opposed to constantly coming back to like, oh, look what I suffered. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because
Yeah.
yeah, I suffered. I went through a lot of stuff, but I was able to use it now
Yeah.
to like really see me for who I am and be like, okay, and then give myself space to be that person,
Okay.
you know.
Yeah.
Um, so I think maybe that was the moment that I could say truly, that I am separated from that now.
Yeah. Okay.
Um, and that was many years later. So, I
Oh
mean,
no,
that was just in the past 5 years.
mine
So,
just happened last year. My
yeah,
realization, my eye opening.
And this
Was
yeah.
just
is a question for both of you. What was or what has been the hardest narrative to let go of that you got from them?
I mean, that it's my fault. That anything bad that happens to me is my fault.
Or even adjacent to you, right?
Yeah.
Because
Well, I
you're
mean,
that powerful.
yeah, right. I'm just so important. Um, uh, and that's funny because maybe that's a way in which like narcissism kind of rubs off a little bit.
well,
Is
that's I think what they
they
want you to
they
believe.
they teach you that you're like the center of the universe, basically. So if it happened wrong, it's because of you.
Do you think it's because you're that important or because you deserve the blame? Do you think what
Well,
message do you think they were trying to give you? Because I'm obviously infallible, so if something happened, it must be your fault because I told you to do X, but you didn't do X the right way. So this is your fault.
yeah. Well, uh, yeah, I suppose in that sense, it's not necessarily, but I mean, it's funny how often it always comes back to, back
Yeah.
here.
Yeah. And I
Um,
think part of it was, you know, just having just them having someone to pick on too made
Yeah.
them feel powerful, and because they were humiliating us and making us victims and feeling powerless, and taking stealing our voice. They were robbing us of our voice, um and our identity.
mm,
Person Buck is saying it also goes back to the person in power who's dictating what God wants, interpreting as an ultimate narcissistic power trip.
yeah, well, oh.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. That's my
Okay. What was the question again, Adria?
yeah.
What's the hardest narrative for you to let go of? Because I don't know, when I look at both of you, I get different images in my mind, like what Nico said, letting go of it being all his fault, but also letting go of, and Nico, please correct me if I'm overstepping, but being told consistently that you're not enough as you are. Not only that you're not enough as you are, you're so not enough that we can't even trust you to know who you are. We're going to tell you who you are every second of every day, and you're still not good enough.
Yeah, and I think
Like,
from that kind of perspective, I think the other part of it, like for me, was being indoctrinated that the man is the ultimate powerhouse of the home. You
yeah,
have no voice. You are not a person. You are a shadow. You are to be seen but not heard.
you're property, you're an accessory, you
Yes.
are a status symbol and a baby factory, and that's all you're fucking good for.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a funny story that I keep thinking of. So what, and I thought it would be funny. I don't think I've told you guys. Um, Not too long after I got out, you know how, there was always so many people around, like in the cult, there's, 30, 40, 50, 60, 80 people, 100 people. You never know. There's just people coming and going all the time, up to like 100 people. So after getting out, one of the strangest and hardest things to get used to was accepting that being alone is okay and realizing that it was normal and that I should feel safe if I was alone. Um, at work, when I had a job at the hospital, there's this big office that I shared with some doctors and surgeons. And so it was empty most of the day. So I got a little mirror and I set it on my desk at work and I set it down near the end of the desk. But that way, it was at an angle that caught me, my reflection, when I was like moving around at my desk. And out of the corner of my eye, I would see my reflection in the mirror moving, and it would make me feel like I wasn't alone, like there was someone else there with me.
Huh.
Yeah, because I didn't know how to be by myself. I didn't know how to be alone. I never was alone except for when I was in the bathroom.
Well, because alone is taboo, right? When you're alone, you have time for the devil to get into your mind, into your
Yeah.
heart. You're doing things they can't keep an eye on.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I had the hardest time being alone. It was it was not fun.
I think that correlates to you not being able to have idle time either.
Yeah, I have a hard time doing nothing. I'm getting better. I really am. Ask Buck.
There's a lot of TV shows you got to watch.
Oh, we're doing them all. We're doing it all.
Lots of idle
So,
time.
yeah. Okay, next question, Adria, if you have one.
I'm sorry, the broken TV and the shenanigans, my brain is still catching up. How did you get to a point, Nico, where you could admit your sexuality to yourself and gain a level of acceptance that allowed you to get married? I know we talked a little bit about how it was just shoved down your guys' throats that homosexuality is one of the most unforgivable sins. Meanwhile, they're habitually raping you throughout your time there, right?
Yeah, sodomizing and yeah.
And everything you were taught flies in the face of their behavior and in the face of who you are. And, the person you had to find once you were finally free to do so. And how did you, I don't know, how did you reconcile that inside of yourself?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, accepting myself definitely came in stages for sure. Uh, I
Yeah.
mean, I mean, it's like I told you that brief snippet about that girl from my first job, you know.
Yeah.
realizing that there were people in the world that well, who wouldn't judge me
Mm-hmm.
for that, um, kind of emboldened me a little bit. And then, when I went to Korea, I think having that separation from all of them, and then suddenly being in this foreign country where I don't speak any of their language. So I was really reliant on the people that I was living with, and from my one friend uh, who had lived with us in Hawaii for a while. Um, but at some point I worked up the courage and came out to them, and I think I probably blew things up for that family. I don't know if, like, I embarrassed them within their community. But yeah,
Yeah.
that was the first time I think I'd actually said it out loud, that I was gay. Um, and then, yeah, I don't know. I I think in my mid 20s, finally getting out into the world, and meeting people. Uh, I met a lot of people, in the Portland area, in California. So people who were fine with me being who I was
Yeah.
and didn't judge me. As for getting married, uh, I I don't think I ever really saw that for myself. Um, Honestly, I was surprised when I turned 25, because I thought that I'd be dead by then. I was so sure.
Wow.
Yeah, I really didn't see myself living very long, I guess.
I'm
So,
glad you
by
did.
then, well, I mean, here we are, but I that's something that I still struggle with a lot, honestly. Just my own mental health. Even I get suicidal all the time. Um, and it's just, I think at this point it's normal for me, which is really sad to say, and might alarm other people, but it's something. I mean, I can remember feeling that way, as a very young person, 10, 11 years old. And I think that it's just part of my brain chemistry, um, to be honest. It's like, and I don't know, mental
I don't
illness
know.
is really prevalent in my family. um, and I think everything that we've been through, definitely affects it as well. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, I mean, just being real, that is something that I struggle with.
Yeah.
Um, and to anybody who does struggle with those thoughts, I mean, my only advice is to talk to someone
Don't shut out
that,
the people that love you.
yeah, I mean, talk to someone that you know isn't going to judge you,
Yeah.
even if
And
that is a mental health worker. You know what I mean? Um, it's so important because if you keep those feelings in, they will destroy you.
I think it's important to remember too, along with that, that you're not a burden to the people that love you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because feeling like a burden will keep those feelings inside. Um,
yeah.
and yeah,
And that's definitely another thing that I've dealt with for many years, constantly feeling like a burden. Um,
like your
but
existence as a whole is a burden.
yeah,
And that's a
just
shitty thing to feel.
Yeah.
it
No
really
one
is.
should feel like that.
No.
It really is.
Not as,
It goes
as
back to asking for help,
Yep.
yeah.
that's what that I mean, that is one of the things that I really had to learn is that asking for help is okay. And it doesn't matter if it's help cleaning the room or, help me come down off this ledge.
And I think all of
um,
that comes in little stages, right? Because before
mm,
you can get to a point where you're willing to humble yourself enough to ask for help, you first have to recognize that you're worthy of the help,
mm,
right? Like
yeah.
you're worthy of being helped by somebody, of being seen by somebody.
You're not going to be a burden.
Yeah. And even if you are, that you're still worth it. You are important enough to share a little bit of your burden with somebody else. Your being here on this planet matters enough
Yeah.
for that to be acceptable, and
Yeah.
that you're allowed to be selfish sometimes when it comes to your personal well-being.
Yeah.
And I think that those little steps have to happen before you get the swooping things of, okay, I can love myself enough to stop, drinking and smoking long enough to heal. I can love myself enough to stop self-harming. I can love myself enough to take the next small step to healing, to figuring out who I am and embracing it.
Mm,
Yeah. I agree.
yeah, it definitely has a lot to do with self-acceptance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which honestly was a complete foreign concept.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, because we were taught that, we're supposed to put ourselves, literally supposed to kill ourselves daily. Put yourself to death, put yourself on the cross,
Yep.
you know?
Every Bible study, huh? Yeah.
Hmm.
So there's this
Yeah.
really great book called The Codependent's Guide to the 12 Steps. I'm just saying.
Hey, that I have that book.
I gave you that book, babe.
Oh, you didn't let me borrow it? I didn't just borrow it?
No, I gave it to you.
Oh,
I got a
okay.
second copy and it's yours.
I'd better read that thing, man.
You better do your step work.
I'll put it on my list
Okay.
of stuff.
No, but it's just a really good reminder that showing up for people and loving people and being dependable doesn't mean doing so to your own detriment. That you don't have to cease to exist to make space for other people in your life.
Yes. Which is hard to do when all you've ever done is lay down your life to be trampled on by others who are superior.
Only in their own minds.
Yeah.
But I
What
know
a
we gotta wrap up soon, but I do have a question again. It's for both of you.
yeah.
For anyone listening who is in a spot, either it's a cult, it's a toxic environment, relationship, home life, whatever it is, now that you guys are on the other side, what's one piece of encouragement, piece of hope, strategy, tip to help them get out to the other side? Just what do you guys have for them?
You go first, Nico. Or you want me to go first?
Go for it.
Um, I think, shoot, you go first.
You're really putting us on the spot here.
Okay, I mean, like,
Um,
we have the basics, right? We have the basics. We have get all of your important paperwork in order,
Okay.
start getting your
Yes.
financials in order, make sure you have a friend, a family member who is safe, who knows the truth about what's going on,
Okay.
because we know abusers like to lie.
Yeah. Okay. So planning your escape, knowing that you are worthy of it. You are worthy to be happy in your life, and to not be a slave to others. You got a plan because, like for me, I had a job at that point, and so I had opened a separate account and I put away $50 every month. And by the time I was ready to be done with him, I had enough for a lawyer for divorce. So there's little steps that you can make, making sure you have some sort of financial security if it's someone that's going to lend you some money so that you can, you know, DHS helps with if you have a restraining order, you can go to DHS and they will help you with a one-time domestic violence grant. And I think I actually done it before. And they will give you, I think it's $1,200 that can go down to towards your down payment and first month rent of a place. So there's that. There's a lot of resources out there. I would say one of the important things is DHS because, the income is decreasing a lot. There might be food insecurity, domestic violence grant to help you with rent assistance, you know, um, making sure that you have a support person that can help give you strength along the way because it's really hard to do. Um, I know the first when I got away from the cult the first time, I had a person that became my support person, and it probably really was only through having a support person that I was able to escape. It's nearly impossible to do on your own, especially if there's kids involved. The more kids there are, the harder it is to get out.
Yeah.
So you really need a support person and don't be afraid to ask for help. And, you have the right to demand how you're treated. You do not have to accept how people want to treat you. It is within your power to demand how you expect to be treated. And if they don't want to treat you that way, then bye-bye. You know, it's you gotta, yeah, I don't know. That's I think what I have to say, Nico.
um, well, I'll just add to that that it's okay to cut ties, you know. Um, you'll always meet new people.
Yeah.
Um, you know, change is always uncomfortable, uh, and it's a growing period. I honestly I didn't know about half the resources that you just mentioned. Like I wish I would have known about food stamps when I was out there on my own as a young person, because I mean, Yeah, had jobs, but I don't know how I survived, to be honest with you. I guess maybe just on the kindness of other people.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, friends who took me in and their families uh were kind to me. Um, but yeah, like you said, having a support person, having somebody that will sit there and listen to you trauma dump and
Yeah.
then be like, you got to get out of there. Someone to encourage you. Definitely, I think is important. But I mean, in the event that maybe that person doesn't exist for you, I mean, there are other organizations available that, you know, help people. And yeah, I mean, I wish I had known about some of the things that I could have done, um, even to just make friends, because
Yeah.
that that was I don't know if I'm
Weird, huh?
going off here, but yeah, that was weird, and not just I didn't know who to trust or who I should trust, um, and I'm sure that I dodged a few bullets here and there, with people because I wasn't the greatest at telling a person's character. But
Yeah.
I don't know. That's so weird because I mean, I could tell you if somebody was being like weird. I don't know how to explain it because
I
just
know.
being a kid around a bunch of weird people who intended
Yeah.
to do weird things, like I could feel that
Predators.
Yeah.
energy. Yeah,
Predators.
predators.
Yeah.
Um, but then also strangely blind to like
Reality.
reality, yeah, and just how people are.
Dude, I lived
Like if
with a meth drug dealer. I dated a Nazi. Talk about blind.
Well,
well,
and you
I
guys were
never
also
It was by
conditioned
accident. I
to,
didn't know any of it.
but you guys were conditioned to ignore that part inside of you that triggers the alarm system. You guys were in that space, alarm systems would want to go off, and everybody around said, no, no, everything is fine.
Shut up. Yep.
Why are you panicking? This
Yep.
is normal. This is fine. It's acceptable. And I think in listening to you guys, I think a fair thing to say would be that it's not going to be pretty, it's not going to be comfortable, but it gets better.
And it's funny, one of the things Buck says a lot is I think he's referenced like some movies or something, like the Joker walking away when the hospital is blowing up behind him. Like he's gives examples of like stuff, the world can be burning down behind me, and I'm like, la 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 la, isn't it beautiful today? You know, just like the world could be just being torn apart, and I'm just, doing my own thing, and everything's fine. It will be okay. We'll get through it. I think that's how we learn to survive. There's so
Yeah.
much bullshit going on. That's the only way to survive is you just put on your blinders and you go into autopilot and become a shadow, and you can make it through.
Yep.
me, I went into my own little world. People always
Yeah.
said, yeah,
Yeah.
oh, the world would blow up and Nico wouldn't know till the next day. And it's true because I would too. Like I would go under the table and just be in my own little world. And
Wow.
yeah, I don't know if that has something to do with autism too or not,
Well, it
but
probably was the safest place too,
Yeah.
yeah, well, I mean, yeah.
What a whirlwind, man. People out there, don't join a cult. Parents out there,
Don't do
keep your
it.
children from a cult. Preachers out
Oh,
there, don't become a fucking cult.
right.
Lawyers, prosecutors, judges, policemen, do your fucking job.
Yeah, go ahead and say Border Patrol, don't
Uh,
help traffic.
yeah, Border Patrol, keep the border secure and keep these criminals out of
Yeah.
our country.
Well, I mean, or at
Who
least don't
else?
help them come
Social
across.
workers do not question victims in front of their abusers while they're at the hospital delivering their baby.
Ooh, and courthouses question weird age gap marriages.
Yes,
Always.
yes. What else?
Yeah.
Uh,
Um,
Parents, always believe your children when they come to you to report abuse.
Yep.
Never question it, even for a split second.
Yep.
yeah.
Help
Don't make them
us
feel like
help
they
you.
can't
No.
come to you.
Help us make this world a better place.
Oh,
No, but in all
geez.
seriousness, if anybody listening is going through something, just tell someone the truth.
Yeah.
Just one person.
Yeah.
It
Fuck,
feels
even
so
if you
much better.
email us,
Yeah.
just tell
Yep.
someone the truth.
Yep. We'll pick up a phone call. We'll get on a video call, telling someone, even if it's just a little bit, takes so much weight off your shoulders. It is crazy. I mean, it's crazy. Once you experience that, it's like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you know what I'm talking about, Nico? It's just like,
Yes.
you can instantly feel it once you get out a bit of truth, and it's mind blowing how much better it makes you feel, and the burden feels easier to carry, and some of the shame feels deflected because it's not your shame. It's not our
Yeah.
shame to carry. It's their shame. It's their shame for being pastors in positions of authorities, sexually abusing minor children, bringing people illegally in the country, using babies' birth certificates to bring in illegals into the country, it prearranged marriages, all of it, it's no, no,
Yeah.
it needs to end. It needs to end.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Did you have any more questions, Adria?
Nope, I just love
No?
you guys, and you guys are both incredible and have come so far from where all of this started and truly have defied the odds, both of you.
Thank you. I mean, one day at a time.
Yeah,
Shit, sometimes
definitely.
1 second at a time.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, it will be exciting to see what this turns into, but I'm hoping to get some other victims on the podcast with us that grew up together with us. I think that as the project is going along, we're discovering more aspects of it, more truth, more pieces, and I think as more of us come together, we're just going to start to fill in the puzzle and give you guys a complete picture, because not even the police in Portland or in Hawaii were able to connect these police cases that were, 1 year apart from each other, 2 years apart from each other. They weren't even capable of connecting the dots. So I
Yeah,
want to get as many dots plugged away so we can give a full picture to the community, to survivors,
yeah.
bring
Yeah.
awareness.
I'm excited to see what your brother has to say.
Yeah, I know. We'll have you on for when my brother comes on, because you guys, lived together for a while. So,
Yeah, for a good while.
yeah, over in Hawaii.
Yeah, we were roommates. Um, yeah, I mean,
Yeah. So
he did a good chunk of his adulthood there. So
yeah, I know. Yeah. Well,
Well, hopefully we can get him soon.
I know. I reached out. So, well, yeah. Well, we should, I'll be reaching out to more people, and Nico will be helping me with some names so I can. But if anyone out there, knows of this cult, or, has heard of it, or knew people that went to it, or, have anything, reach out and let us know, and we'll just keep working on the project. But I think that is it for this episode, you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening, everyone. Thank you so much, Nico, for sharing
Yes.
your story. That was an amazing story and a lot of stuff to unpack there. So
yeah,
I hope you have some things that you can do to relieve stress, and your mental space, and make sure that you're taking care of yourself, because you literally just went through a shit ton of stuff, on air. That's not an easy thing to do, telling all your secrets to whoever's listening. It's hard. It's heavy, and you
Yeah.
did a great job. So
well, thank you for having me.
yeah, and I'll have you come back so we can do some joint episode as well. But thank you everyone for joining. Thank you, Adria, for being my co-host on with Nico's story. Thank you, Nico. Thank you, Buck. And we will see you guys next time. We don't know what's coming, but some exciting updates, maybe some exciting guests. You guys will have to stay tuned to see. Again, we're at Squirrel Brain Stories on YouTube. You can find us on Spotify. You can find us on Apple Music. We're on all the socials. Our link tree is on our socials as well. If you have any questions, send us any questions. If you are going through a hard time trying to find an escape out of your situation, know that you are not alone. If you need support or need to reach out, feel free to reach out to us with questions, concerns. If you need a shoulder, we're we want to be there for other survivors, and help with there's strength in numbers. So
For sure.
Till next
oh,
time.
till next time. Bye, guys.
Bye.